Wesley Chan, the director of Left on Shing and Left on Shing Shing Wong. Sorry. He works with Wong Fu Productions. If you have a chance, check out his YouTube channel. Wes, you're welcome to step up. I'll give you the mic to give him the longer you have to say. Hello?
Is anyone else here?
Wes, you flew in from Los
LA?
Angeles?
Yeah.
Wes is the only director for this set of shorts.
Cool. Thanks for coming, guys.
So we'll just start it out, and it's relevant to your film. What was your inspiration for this film?
Well, I just want to say, I guess they're all great films, and I think a lot of times I come to these programs to watch like my peers make their films, and a lot of inspiration comes from those too. Andrew O is a friend of ours. He did the first one. I never saw that short, but it was really good, along with the other ones too. But what was the inspiration for?
Yeah, for this one.
It's funny because every time I travel, so part of a group called Wong Fu Productions, we make mostly YouTube videos, and when we travel either for personal or for work, we try to find some time to shoot something while we're away. And I found myself in Hong Kong trying to think of an idea within the last 2 days of my stay there, and I couldn't think of anything. And I was going up these stairs, and I was just thinking, like, what story could I tell here? And me trying to think of inspiration actually sparked this idea of the things that we think about with something as mundane as going up some stairs. The thoughts that we have and the thoughts that slip our mind, things that get forgotten while doing this everyday task. And I thought it might be interesting to tell a story of inspiration coming from thoughts and memories, and kind of pairing up a very real question with a kind of fantastic side of things.
We're going to open up questions from the audience. If anyone's interested, just raise your hand and try to speak loudly, and I'll repeat the question if we can't hear you. Anyone interested in?
It's okay if you don't have questions either.
The girl with the hat.
Hi. When did you start YouTubing, and how did you get started with it?
How did we start YouTube?
Yeah.
YouTubing. It's funny that that's a verb now. Well, actually, Wong Fu Productions, which is Philip Wang and Ted Fu and myself, we started before YouTube existed. So imagine at that time when you would go online and there was no YouTube, there was no streaming video, there was no streaming anything. We started in college. We made videos for fun and uploaded them to the server, and if you wanted to watch our video, you'd actually have to download the video, wait for it to finish downloading, and if you wanted to spread it, you'd have to transfer that file to someone else. That's how we started, and then YouTube came about in 2005, I think, and we started using YouTube as a video platform to share our work. And then things kind of grew from there because YouTube became more of a community more than just a streaming tool, and we found a really strong audience, especially among Asian Americans, that can identify with our work, and we're so grateful to have that kind of community aspect. But at the same time, we're not just telling Asian American stories. We're telling just everyday stories that happen to be told from Asian Americans and have Asian American characters, but the stories are pretty universal.
We'll start with the woman with the purple jacket first.
I just want to say I'm a big fan of Wong Fu.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. I was curious, did you write that movie in Chinese or English?
The script was written in one night in English, and then translated the next day within 2 hours, and then shot immediately after. We've made a few of these shorts in Hong Kong and one in Taiwan, and they're all done in like 1 day, and that's kind of the parameter we give ourselves, usually because that's the only time we have. But yeah, it was written in English, and the tricky part was the vocabulary in that short is very not every day. The stuff you talk about, like stream of consciousness, and how to translate that to Cantonese is actually pretty difficult. And the two characters, Robin and Kendi, the girl at the end, they're actually rising musicians in Hong Kong. So it was nice to have them help us translate, and they did it in a very poetic way.
I believe the woman in front of her also had a question. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I also wanted to echo that. I also really like the work that you guys do. And also, so I was wondering how you guys usually divide up the work. So you guys just kind of just talk about the ideas and then film, if somebody is more into like the script writing and then the production, how do you guys do that?
The way we divide the work, it depends on the project. For this one, usually someone has the idea first and we'll share the script and give notes, and then eventually just work on it together. Usually the person that spearheads the idea is directing. A lot of times I find myself in front of the camera. Philip he does that too, but he's actually much more like performance, like he focuses on the performance of the actors, and I guess I look at things and try to make it look pretty. But for the most part, we all kind of interchange our roles. Yeah.
I actually have a question and help promote you as well. Well, what are you working on these days? I know you just had a Kickstarter earlier this year.
Yeah, we did Indiegogo to make our first feature film. I don't know if anyone in here contributed, but thank you guys. Oh, thank you. Yeah, we were able to raise enough money to make our first feature film. We finished shooting and we're in post-production now. Started to submit to some festivals, and it's a relationship story, very much in line with the themes that we touch on on Wong Fu Productions. But we are hoping to finish that soon so that you guys can watch it somehow. We haven't decided how it's going to be distributed yet, but yeah, we're very excited.
The young woman in the back with the blue shirt.
Would you submit it to the BAAFF, the Asian American Film Festival, and come back?
Yeah, I mean, this is my first time here, and it's a great festival. I'm really enjoying everything so far, and once it's done, we're going to focus on finishing it first, but afterwards, you guys are definitely going to be on our list of festivals to show.
How many of you would come see it?
Thank you. It's weird being up here without anyone else. This is the first time I've done this, and I almost feel wrong because we watched so many great films and they can't talk about them. But
would you like to talk about any other films?
I like them. I like them all. I like them all. And were you the one programming this?
Yeah, I worked on with a group of people. I think we had a team of 4 head people, and then we had a lot of people watching films, and I think some of us are in the crowd right now.
It's always very interesting watching the progression of the shorts, because you start with the heavy stuff usually, and then it gets a little lighter, and then it's nice because you don't want to end too heavy. So
I'll say I pushed heavily for the zombie one. That was me. Do we have any other questions about the filmmaking process or anything? Going in the classes?
So the way that you, in the movie, the way that you kind of symbolize the lost thoughts with, I guess, like little marbles, were there any other ideas that you dabbled with how to represent the lost thoughts?
Cool, great question. Were there any other ideas to represent those lost thoughts? It was, I think the first idea that came to my head was marbles, so I just went with that. But I was very particular about the marbles. We actually went to a certain street the night before called Goldfish Street in Hong Kong and bought these clear marbles that we went around a while because they had to be clear, not like those swirly, colorful ones. And the glass jar was from IKEA, I think. And we bought twine to wrap it to make that little thing. I think I considered pebbles too, but I knew that afterwards it'd be nice to enhance the marbles a little bit through some motion graphics. So I think that gave the most flexibility, having those clear marbles.
Yes.
Let's say you have an idea that you're really into, but when it's executed, it doesn't come exactly how you envisioned. Like, would you have any advice for that kind of situation?
The question was, if you have an idea but it doesn't come through in execution, what do you do? I think it depends on what you really want from the project. If it's for your own personal growth, then I would say, like, take it as far as you can and learn from it, but I guess don't release anything that you're not going to be proud of. Ultimately, like, we've had videos that don't do well compared to others, and even, you know, have some negative criticism, but those are all ways to grow, I think. So it really depends. If it's like for school, you should probably turn it in. If it's for yourself, then it's on you. I think I've had projects like that just never got released because they weren't the strongest work I think I could do. But I said earlier in an interview, I think that that idea can spark another idea, and nothing is ever like a failure, really.
Yes, we'll do the two people in the center. We'll start with the woman in the back first. And
So if you had unlimited amount of resources, what film would you make?
Unlimited resources? That means time too, right? Unlimited time. I don't know. That's a really hard question, just because I feel like the way we've worked, like Wong Fu Productions, none of us have a film school background, so what we make is dependent on our resources. Just like the short you guys saw, it was location based and time based. Those were the rules we had to work with, and a lot of times those rules are what they're what push you to make the best things. So having unlimited. I like science fiction, and I've tried to do some, and recently we worked on something that has some science fiction elements, and you realize how much money that costs just to make something believable. So I would love to tell a story that is you know, based on relationships and people, but in a science fiction world.
so we'll have time for about 3 more questions. We'll start with the woman right here.
Hi. I was just wondering where you get your funding from, because I noticed, I mean, you guys have really amazing like production value, but I also know that your budget isn't like ginormous. So
Yeah, the funding question, that's also project based. Something like this, no budget. What you saw in the end credits, it was like me, Phil, like 2 friends and the cast, and a DSLR camera. And that's really all it takes to make a film. Like, even with an iPhone now, you know, you can make something amazing. But then we have bigger projects where, you know, we might have a sponsor to help us with something. We do have a merchandise line that kind of keeps the company afloat, so that helps. Not tremendously, but it keeps us going. And then there's one more thing. I mean, yeah, sometimes we have like bigger campaigns, but for the most part, try to work very low budget and try to make a little look like a lot. I think that's probably one of our strengths. Yeah.
We'll do 2 more questions, and that will be it for tonight. The man with the red hat, and then the woman over there. Sorry.
Was there any work in particular or experience that kind of like pushed or inspired this project?
This one?
Yeah.
Any work? I just really wanted to tell a story in Hong Kong, and I wanted to be like just blurring the lines between like realism and fantasy. Like I said, the idea, the very simple question of where does inspiration come from? Because we get asked that so many times, I really think like the inspirations we get are from just the wandering thoughts that we have, and maybe things that we forget that we remember. And the ideas constantly evolve, and how they end up and how they are expressed you might never expect in that way. But yeah, I love Hong Kong. I love traveling. So whenever I travel, it's a reason to tell a story.
Okay, we'll do the final question with the woman over there. You?
Yeah. Hi Wes. Big fan of Wong Fu. You were saying that none of you guys have film background. So question is, what do you guys study for
Right.
all of y'all?
We, the three of us that are Wong Fu Productions, we went to UC San Diego, which is a amazing, like, top-rated biotechnology school, but they have no film program. So we were in the visual arts program there, and they're very conceptual, so we wrote a lot more papers than we ever used the camera. I don't know if things are like that here, but it was very, everything was taught to ourselves, and even now there's things that I don't understand or things that I don't know that I'm still trying to teach myself. So I was a visual arts major, and I wish I could speak higher of their program, but I think a lot of ways, because there wasn't a program, it forced us to learn things a certain way, and not to have, not to make these limitations of, well, you have to have this budget to make this film. You have to study how to be, you know, a producer to learn how to get all the resources, or cinematographer to use the camera. You do whatever you need to do to tell the story.
So you would say that you learned most from just doing it? Just going out and
doing it and you know, making some really bad stuff sometimes, but you know, it's all in the process of improving.
All right, we definitely like to thank Wes for coming out.
Thank you guys for coming.
And definitely check out, there's another movie, Pretty Rosebud, after this film. If you'd like to stay, there's another movie. And if you could submit your surveys up to the box right outside the doorway, we'd appreciate that, so we can keep bringing programming to you. Things you like, things you didn't like, things that worked, things that didn't work, and stuff like that.
If there's any film, or if you guys want to see more films that we've made, it's wongfuproductions.com, or just search Wong Fu Productions on YouTube.